ladies, it is week 8. How hard to believe that our course is quickly coming to an end. I'm sad. I'm a little bit sad to think that we're not going to have this opportunity on a regular basis to share what we're learning and to share what God is teaching us. But I'm sure you are a little bit relieved that the class is coming to an end, because I know it's taken some time and effort. I've been praying for you that the Lord would allow you to carve out the time that you need each week to do your reading, to look at the slides, to enjoy reflecting on what God is teaching you about ministry to women. But as we move into this week 8, we have a very important topic or two that we're going to wrap up with. And then at the end of this video, I want to just kind of review our syllabus, the requirement for the course that's our follow-up requirement, to make sure you don't have any questions about that. So in week 8, the first part of our discussion is going to be on communicating the message. Once God has given you a message, or God has given you a ministry for the women in your church and community, how do you communicate it? How do you get the word out? And so we're going to be talking a bit about publicity and promotion. Now, just because you think it's a great idea, and just because you are excited about something you are doing in and through your church's women's ministry, that doesn't mean that all the other women are going to be just as excited, or it doesn't really even mean that the women are going to come. And that is the most challenging experience for me in ministry. So many times I just am heartbroken, really, to know that there are women who don't take advantage of opportunities for spiritual growth and for fellowship through special events. But we want to try to talk about some practical things this week that might help us promote and publicize our events in more effective ways. As we think about promotion and publicity, I want to just share with you some of the challenges. In fact, it's 3 of the most significant challenges I think you'll find as you try to promote the things that you're doing for your ministry to women. And it'll be helpful to you, I'm thinking, as well as to me, that each one begins with a C. But as we think about promoting our special events and just publicizing what we're doing, one of the greatest challenge, number 1, is creating an interest in your ministry. Now, if God's called you to minister to women, you're going to be passionate, you're going to be committed about it. But the chances are that there's not very many, if any, other women in your church who have that same passion. So you must create in them an interest. And oftentimes we do that not only with our own personal testimony, but incorporating in our promotion and publicity the testimonies of others, what someone else has learned or experienced, or how they've benefited from some Bible study or ongoing program or special event for the women in your church. So creating interest in the ministry is the first challenge you'll face in promoting ministry to women. Number 2 is communicating the opportunity to be a part of the ministry. Communicating it, just not only getting the word out, but enlisting others to help. And I can tell you, you can say it 1,000 times. You can print it in 1,000 different places. In fact, many times women put those flyers taped right to the back of the stalls in the ladies' bathroom at church. You can put them all those places, and you're still going to have ladies to say, I didn't know that that was happening. I didn't know that we were doing that or that we did that. But the more you communicate, the more different people who communicate the opportunity, the greater the likelihood that women not only will hear about it and attend, but will volunteer to help. And so you do need to communicate the opportunity to be a part of the ministry. Now, in the area of women's ministry, one of the things that I've run into with communication is lots of times it's just education. So some ladies will say, well, women's ministry is not for me. Younger women will say, women's ministry was for my grandmother or my mother. Well, you know, the reality is sometimes there is a stereotype with a title or a name for a program. So oftentimes what you want to do in promoting something that you're doing is not so much push the fact that it's the women's ministry hosting it, but you need to just share not only what the event is or what the ministry is, but why you're doing it. And if women can grasp hold to the vision, the purpose, many times they get it and they'll then be involved. So you must create interest, you must communicate the opportunity. Number 3, you must convey the heartbeat of the ministry. No matter what you're doing in weekly ministries or activities or periodic events throughout the year, it is important for the ladies in your church to know the heartbeat of your ministry to women is helping women grow in their relationship with the Lord, helping women grow in the knowledge of their word, of God's word, and then helping women to share their faith so that others will come to salvation. So those are 3 great challenges that you'll face. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be too frightened by it. But know that we're going to be talking and sharing, and I'd love for you to share with us this week specifically some of the ways that you have found effective in promoting things that you're doing in your church. So publicity and promotion is the first part, and then we're going to finish up our content for this class by talking about resources. Ladies, I am so grateful to say that we live in a day when you have so many resources. First of all, you have people resources. We have you and you have us, and there are other women in your church who are such great, gifted resources. Then you've got people resources in your community or in your state, even in our denomination, the Southern Baptist Convention. So we've got lots of great people resources. But we have more paper resources or tangible resources today than we ever have. So we'll talk about some of those specific ones, many that are offered through Lifeway Christian Resources. We're so grateful for Lifeway Women that provides for us training opportunities so that we can learn how to minister to women more effectively. Also provides for us Bible studies and other training materials. So we have Lifeway and we have other sources that provide resources for us. And again, you may have stumbled across or found effective certain resources. And we want you to share those. I was just thinking even online resources, there's so many blogs and there's so many websites that tell us about effective women's ministry. We live in a resource-rich world. And so what your responsibility today is not so much to try to develop or even find resources. Your challenge today is to prayerfully discern which resources are biblically solid, number 1, and then which resources are relatable and appropriate for you and your ministry to women. So we'll look forward to talking to you about resources and learning from you about resources that we might not be aware of as well. I hope you'll take a moment and join me, get a copy of your syllabus in front of you, and let's look at page 2 again and just remind ourselves of the requirements for this course. The first requirement is attendance, and yes, even though you're online, we can take attendance. I know as a teacher, as an instructor, how many times you really access this class through Blackboard, and so we'll be looking at attendance. Do you participate every single week, all 8 weeks in this class? Number 2 is participation. Participation is primarily measured by your comments through the discussion board, the threaded discussion. Each week you have 1 or 2 questions that are asked of you. You're to answer the question, but you're also to interact with the answers of others in the class. And you'll see in the syllabus that we gave a guideline at the very beginning that you should post a minimum of 3 responses in the main discussion each week, 1 of your own answer and then at least 2 responses to others. And I want to thank you for doing that, especially in a timely way. That is a benefit to all of us in the class because we do learn from each other. And then the third requirement that I want to mention is the requirement to do your reading. Again, the book, the textbook, was given to you at the beginning, Kelly King's Ministry to Women, the Essential Guide for Leading Women in the Local Church, published by Lifeway. You were to have read all the book by now, and then you're going to have a follow-up assignment of a book review. But for your attendance and your participation and your reading, you'll see that we're requesting for you to send a written statement to me that is due March the 13th for this particular course. And so if you'll just email that to me and let me know that you have attended class, you participated in the discussions, and you completed your reading. And then the fourth requirement on this particular course is for a book review. And in your syllabus, you will see that it is not due until later, so after the class actually finishes. And so it's due on Friday, March the 27th. And this book review is going to include, and it's specified with some bullets in your syllabus, it should include bibliographical information. That's not just the author and the title and the publication information, but take a paragraph and kind of describe the author and her expertise in being able to write this book and for you to learn from this book. So be sure to include a paragraph of some description. The second part of your book review is the purpose of the book, and some guidelines are given where you can find that. So identify and explain the purpose of the book. Then the third part is organization and content. You don't need to repeat the whole content of the book, but just summarize some of the highlights so we'll know how well it's organized and what the content includes. And then the final part of the book review is an evaluation. We don't want to just know what the book is about, but what did you think about it? Your own evaluation. Did the book accomplish its purpose? What were some strengths of the book? What were some weaknesses of the book? How useful will the book be for you? And then you will see that this book review is due, as I mentioned, March the 27th. And, it needs to be about 5 to 10 pages in length, and if possible we want you to follow the Turabian format, and you will notice on your Blackboard Shell there is a Turabian link. There is helpful writing guidelines for you. Let me know if you have any questions about that. And I do want to remind you that this is week 8, the last week of our class, and the Blackboard Shell, the contents of the Blackboard Shell, the PowerPoints, the reading assignments, and the discussion board will not be there after this Friday at midnight. So the Blackboard Shell closes to students on Friday of this week at midnight. So it is very important for you to complete all of your work. Do let me know if you have any questions, and know that I'm praying for you. And more than anything, my prayer is that as we've studied and learned together in this class this semester, that the Lord is just pouring more into us, equipping us, giving us more tools for our toolbox, so that when He gives us ministry opportunities, or when we see the needs of others, especially women, in our church and in our community, that we'll be more confident, we'll be better equipped to minister to them biblically and effectively for the sake of their own salvation and spiritual condition, but also for the sake of the kingdom. I have loved teaching you this term, and I do pray that I'll have the opportunity to get to know each one of you personally. But in the meanwhile, know that I'll be praying for you. God bless.